the body of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny has been found, covered in bruises at a morgue in Russia's Arctic north, that being an hour's drive from the prison where he was declared dead on Friday.
The anti-corruption activist had been at an Arctic penal colony serving sentence on charges his supporters say were politically motivated.
Let's speak now to the security expert at Buckingham University, Professor Anthony Glees. Anthony, good morning. Thank you for joining us. It's probably the most ludicrous question you'll be asked. Everybody knows that it was probably organised by Putin, and anybody who dares to complain is being rounded up and jailed. You would share that sentiment that this is from the Kremlin, would you?
Well, I mean, it's all speculation because we're dealing with an evil, sadistic, murdering dictator in a secret police state that he controls. And we can only speculate, but we can speculate on the basis of a probability that borders on certainty. And with a probability that borders on certainty, I would say there is no doubt at all, not only that Putin had him killed, but that he had him killed to order, in the sense that the timing of Navalny's death was designed to send a two-fingered salute to essentially the NATO leaders gathered at the all-important annual Munich Security Conference. So everything that Putin had been trying to do since Navalny, foolishly, I have to say, in my opinion, and tragically, decided to go back to Russia after Putin had already had a go at him with Novichok. People remember a couple of years ago, he was almost killed with Novichok put in his underwear. He was brought back to health by doctors in Berlin, and then he decided to go back. That was daft, in my opinion, because exiles can have a huge political impact. I mean, think of Lenin. He was in exile, and he actually started the Russian Revolution. Ayatollah Khomeini, flew back from Paris to Tehran in 1979, the most fateful air flight in history, in my view. He did a revolution, so going back was fatal. But Putin has been trying to kill him for some time. The evidence we have is that thugs, probably from military intelligence, moved into this awful high-security concentration camp on the Arctic Circle and beat Navalny to death on Putin's orders. So, this is a very serious crisis for the people for whose benefit Putin had Navalny killed, namely ourselves.
Yeah. Anthony, he knew it was fatal, though, didn't he? Going back, maybe he thought that was the way to get his message heard by as many people as possible.
Well, I think it's very difficult to be certain to know exactly what. I don't think that he saw himself as a martyr. And indeed, martyrdom is not, in political terms, very successful. What I think he had was a huge romantic attachment to an idea of a much better Russia, and that Navalny himself could not believe that evil in Russia could do the things that it was doing. But he was kind of blind to the threat. The two big challenges to Putin were from Navalny, although in a sense he was completely disabled and taken care of in these awful prison camps, one worse than the next, and our old friend Prigozhin. And at the time, it looked really like a toss-up as to who was going to win, Putin or Prigozhin. In fact, Putin won, as we know, although there were 24 hours when it really was very uncertain. Prigozhin was marching on Moscow and could have toppled Putin. So Putin is under threat, but out of each threat, because he is a brutal, sadistic murderer, as the people in Ukraine experience every single day of their lives for 2 years now, in the end, Putin comes out stronger. And that's why we in the United Kingdom and we in NATO really need to understand now that Ukraine's war is NATO's war. We need to give Ukraine what it needs to stop Putin. If Putin is defeated in Ukraine, we can all breathe a sigh of relief. If he wins, we're all in deep trouble. So send him jets, send him pilots if necessary. I think there are many people in the RAF and other European air forces who would volunteer not as become honorary Ukrainian citizens, as Polish pilots fought for Britain in the Battle of Britain. We understand, when Zelensky came 2 years ago to London and talked to people, he said, we need wings for freedom. Give us wings. Wings saved Britain in 1940. It's wings that can save Ukraine now. And we've seen the Russians making advances, serious advances, only a little bit of territory. But in strategic terms, it looks like more dangerous advances. They're using their latest fighter jets now against Ukraine. We cannot stand idly by. We give them money, the biggest donors, the Nordic countries and Germany. We're not up quite at the top there. I mean, we give them we're giving them 5 billion euros. The Nordics and Germany together giving them almost 20 billion. But we're not giving the equipment. The Germans are not giving the equipment. And it's the equipment that will defeat Russia, not the money.
Professor Anthony Glees, thank you so much.
Thank you, Anthony.
Security expert at Buckingham University, talking about us through the repercussions of learning at the end of last week Alexei Navalny is dead.